Hello and welcome back to Bitesize Boxing. So I just want to start off by saying a big thank you to all of the people who have been leaving great comments, great discussion in my recent videos, and also the new subscribers as well. So welcome along to everybody. It's great to have you here. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, sort of the week after, the week before. We're going to move on from that Saudi card now. We may sort of hark back and mention a few bits about it over the next week or so, but I want to talk today about the breaking news, and that is, of course, that Daniel Dubois has fired Don Charles, and he has now instead hired Tony Sims as his trainer. So it's an interesting one. It's an interesting move. What do I think about it? I think it's... The thing is with Daniel Dubois, and I said this from very early on in his career, and I've said this in videos on this channel before, very clearly he is not neurotypical, let's put it kindly. And as a result of that, on the come up, I always knew that Dubois had talent, and sometimes even just off the eye test, you know when a fighter is going to reach a certain level. As I've said before, I use the Ben Whittaker example. I don't think Ben Whittaker is necessarily going to reach the elite level, because when you watch him fight, he's going in there oftentimes against people he's overmatched with, and he's not getting rid of them quickly. Now, of course, punching power comes into it, but for me, it's, are you playing with your food, or is it that you're unable to get your food out of there? And in the case of someone like Daniel Dubois, when he was going in there against overmatched opposition, particularly early on, he was blasting through them like a hot knife through butter, like you see blue chip prospects do. So for me, I always knew that Daniel Dubois had a degree of talent that meant he was not your average heavyweight prospect that isn't just going to land around British level. I knew from early on this guy had something. For me, the concern always was, and still is, up here. As I've said previously just now, Daniel Dubois is not a neurotypical guy. As a result of that, we don't have a lot of data to go on with fighters like this, right? Let's be really honest about it. We haven't got... people have, hypothesised, is he autistic, is he on the spectrum, this kind of thing. And I would tend to lean in the direction that yes, he probably is. And if he is, we haven't exactly got loads of data over the years of similarly, minded fighters. And so for me, it was always not a case of does he have the physical skills, it's the mental sort of fragilities that could show themselves. Now, Daniel Dubois, having got to elite sort of world level, we've seen those mental fragilities. Of course, the first time we saw them was against Joe Joyce. He got his eye jabbed in and he quit. We, of course, saw it against Usyk in that first fight, and then we saw it to a lesser extent, but still against Usyk again in the second fight, where in both of those Usyk fights, he said no mass and chose no more. I don't think changing your trainer will change that. I don't think he is going to be any different. And I also think it would be remiss of me to miss out. He has got again, I want to pick my words carefully, a confusing relationship with his father. I think that's fair to say. From very early on, there was rumours surrounding the relationship that they had and how strange it is. He almost treats him like a carer, dare I say. His dad treats him like his carer, essentially. And when Don Charles was training him, for example, his dad's in the corner and he's listening to his dad and not Don Charles. And even in interviews, whenever he's asked about Don Charles, he just dismisses Don Charles and talks about his dad as his trainer. So this link up with Tony Sims is interesting to me because Tony Sims kind of gives me a bit more of a no BS attitude towards that kind of stuff. So I can't see Tony Sims being as okay with that as someone like Don Charles. Of course, Don Charles was with Chisora many times and he kept taking Chisora back. So Don Charles is that personality type where he will be a doormat for the right paycheck. I'm not sure Tony Sims will be. Now, there is also news, of course, that Sam Jones is now linked up with Daniel Dubois and has become his manager, and that his dad is semi-taking a step back. Again, we'll see how that goes, because Daniel mentally, if his dad's nowhere to be seen on fight night or he's not in his corner, I feel like Daniel Dubois won't cope with that very well at all. So it's a difficult one. How will this go? I'll be frank, I'm not too sure. I'm not ready to write Daniel Dubois off, but I have now seen enough over the sort of his career going, 8 years now? Those fragilities are there. Those fragilities are going to get better. You can't teach heart. And I probably shouldn't say this if I'm honest, Daniel Dubois strikes me as a guy whose dad... It was like Project Mbappe, I suppose, as people talk about football, but Project, I don't know what, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis from a young age, where it seems like Daniel Dubois was locked in a room from a young age and told to hit a bag until he got better. He's clearly lacked social development because of that. And as a result, you've kind of got this robot that has been programmed to know nothing other than boxing and to look to his dad for pretty much everything. So if his dad is taken out of the equation, I think he will probably be even worse than when his dad is in the equation. But as a result of that, when a fight gets tough, I don't think he wants to be a boxer. I think this is a guy who has felt, because of the push from his father, to be compelled into the sport rather than doing it of his own free will. And of course, he's made himself a multimillionaire. He's a very wealthy man. He's done well for himself as a result of it. But Daniel Dubois as a man is not a complete man because of this push into boxing, in my opinion. So I don't think changing his trainer will change that. I think Daniel Dubois is what he is. I don't think it is necessarily the physical limitations or anything that he's being taught is too much for the issue. I think it's mental, and I don't think you can fix that. I think Daniel Dubois is what he will always be. I think if he finds himself in a tough spot in a fight again, he'll take a knee and he'll quit again. Because again, in his heart of hearts, I don't think he wants to be a fighter. I don't think he necessarily wants to be there. He is there because his dad is almost living vicariously through him, if that makes sense. So that's my opinion. Of course, from a technical point of view, maybe there's some things Tony Sims can improve. That wide guard I've spoken about before, where Dubois holds his like elbows flared out like that, leaves him wide open to shots. So maybe he can improve on that. But in terms of Daniel Dubois, the fighter, I don't think linking up with Tony Sims will suddenly make him a better fighter. Again, I think he is what he is. But you let me know what you think. I'd be very interested to know. I'm a little bit late getting this one out, unfortunately, but we can't be there first thing every time because I've got a job. I have to commute back and forth. So I've rushed back. I made this one. You let me know what you think. It'd be great to know. Take it easy, guys.